Hi everyone, nice to have a chance to record this new video. What I'd like to do on this channel as often as possible is to simplify some concepts enough that the biggest number of people will grasp some concept easier than they had so far. In other words, I want to make things tangible, easy, almost playful, simply because this is the way I like to learn myself. I like people to show me. I like people to give me an example. I like people to make it simpler and simpler and simpler, and then I grasp it, and then I'm interested to understand more and more and more about it. And so, if this is the way I like to learn, I imagine there's a lot of people who think or feel like me, and this is the people that I like to talk to. And today I'd like to talk about the concept of anxiety. You know, anxiety, contrarily to what is often referred to, is not a disorder. Anxiety simply means there is something that might happen in the future, or I believe might happen in the future, that I would prefer to not happen. In other words, anxiety is some form of resistance to a possibility. I don't want this thing that might occur. Don't want this person who could come into my life, who I would rather not see, to come into my life. It's a refusal of a possibility that I believe is real. And so, for example, I have an exam tomorrow, and there are chances that I get some questions that I wouldn't know how to answer or to solve, or some problems that I wouldn't know how to solve in my quiz or in my exam, because I've studied, but I didn't study well enough. And so there's some form of anxiety within me that is connected to the fact that some of these questions, which I would rather avoid, might show up. And then I might do bad in my exam. And then I might, have a bad grade, I might not pass, etc., etc. So there's some form of anxiety. So for an anxiety to be more or less powerful, there are two factors to consider. One is, what is, as far as I believe, the likelihood of this unwanted event to happen? If I believe the likelihood is big, my anxiety will increase. The second factor is, how much do I not want this event to happen? How much would I feel uncomfortable and even horrified if this unwanted event would be to happen? And so if it's something that I'd rather not happen, by the way, I don't really believe it's going to happen, there's a very, very weak form of anxiety that I'm feeling that I'm not even paying attention to, but it's still there. I hope that doesn't happen, but I don't believe it will, so I'm cool. Or it's something that I don't want, but if it happens, it's all right, but I really believe it's going to happen. So then I'm feeling a little more uncomfortable. Now, if the event is really important for me, if the unwantedness of this event is really, really important for me, and I believe strongly that the possibilities of this event occurring is strong, then I'm going to feel very uncomfortable. Then I'm going to have a strong anxiety connected to this event. Now, where anxiety could become a disorder in our lives is if and when it becomes chronic. If we start having repeated thoughts that generate anxiety regarding a certain topic, for example, or regarding multiple topics, or regarding life in general. Some people are anxious in life in general. But let's say there's one aspect of life where you've tended to overthink situations that make you now focused on what could happen that would be wrong or that would be unwanted, that you've been experiencing anxiety often enough that for some reason you can't stop thinking about it now. And the more you think about what could go wrong in this specific area, the more you're feeling the anxiety. The more you feel the anxiety, the more you're compelled to think more about it. And the more you think, the more you feel this anxiety, and you see how you can get caught into this loop of feeling and thinking in a way that feels bad most of the time. And the more you do that, day after day after day, the more this way of thinking and feeling regarding this topic becomes like a software. It becomes an unconscious programming that now you feel is thinking you, because you can't stop thinking about it, you can't stop worrying about it, and you can't stop this feeling of discomfort day after day after day. And now you have this disorder. And what I'd like to do in this video is to give you 7 steps, 7 actions that you can take to start breaking free from chronic anxiety, whatever the topic is. And if you do that, and if you practice that, you will start feeling better. And this is what you actually want. And so the number one tip for somebody to start feeling relief from chronic anxiety is to want it. Now, I realize that it sounds a little silly. Of course I want to feel better. Of course I want to liberate myself from feeling chronic anxiety. But trust me, there's a lot of people who are feeling anxious and who deeply believe that they are right to feel anxious, and that anybody who doesn't is actually foolish, because there's danger all over. Danger all over. And therefore, if this person doesn't want to feel better first, they want all danger or all potential unwanted to disappear before, there's not much you can do. And so you have to wish that person, good luck, and maybe one day this person will want to do something about it. Number 2 is don't blame yourself for feeling chronic anxiety. Don't say, oh my God, I'm so stupid, I shouldn't feel this way, I just can't help it, but I shouldn't, and I'm ashamed of myself, and I should know better, but I don't, and I'm an incapable because look at other people, they're living normally, and I'm here anxious. Forget about that. If you're feeling this way, there are reasons behind it that make you feel this way. There's a pattern that took place for some reason, no matter what it is. If it's a trauma you've experienced, if it's something that you've developed growing up that your parents were already experiencing, and your grandparents, and anybody who you spent a lot of time with as a child, whatever the reason is, it happened, it's there, the pattern is here. Don't blame yourself. Understand that it's normal that I feel this way. Now, what do I want to do? And once you make peace with the fact that it's not your fault, that I can't blame myself, you start releasing some form of resistance. You're no longer blaming yourself, and the blame is also a cause for anxiety, is also a cause for resistance, is also a cause for I'm not feeling comfortable because I believe it's my fault. I believe I'm silly or I'm stupid. No, you're not. Tip number 3. It's okay for now. It's okay for now to feel the way that I'm feeling. In other words, I've developed this pattern of chronic anxiety for whatever reason. Right now, I'm feeling it and experiencing it. The more I'm going to push against the fact that I'm feeling uncomfortable, the more I'm going to feel uncomfortable. So what I have to tell myself is, you know what? I'm going through some discomfort because of this chronic way of thinking and feeling. And the discomfort that I'm feeling right now, you know what? I'm not going to make it disappear suddenly. So if I know it's not going to disappear suddenly because I don't have a magic wand, because I don't have a magic technique that will suddenly make, weeks, months, years of experiencing this suddenly disappear, the fact that it's uncomfortable for me right now is okay for now. It's okay for now. Yeah, but I'm feeling uncomfortable. Yeah, but accept it now. And once again, you're going to stop resisting the discomfort, which is a very, very big step towards healing or releasing some discomfort. I'm not going to want the discomfort to disappear immediately. I'm going to take steps and actions into making it diminish and disappear in the long run. But the discomfort that I'm feeling right now, I'm going to accept it. And sometimes it's good to say in your mind and to repeat in your mind, I accept the discomfort. I accept the discomfort that I'm feeling right now. Once you say it, notice how you're feeling. You're going to feel a form of relief. You're going to feel a certain something or certain resistance or a certain burden that's leaving your body right now. You may have to repeat it again and again. I accept the discomfort. It's okay that right now I am feeling uncomfortable. It's okay. Some relief, some release of resistance, some release of discomfort. This is powerful. Tip number 4, train yourself to connect to the present moment. Train yourself to be fully present. How do you do that? Meditation. Meditation is a general technique that allows you to connect to the present moment. And by the way, there is nothing beyond the present moment. Everything else is imagination. What's going to happen tomorrow, what happened yesterday, at the moment that it happens, it's now. So whenever you connect to the present moment and you're really connected to the now, you have no problems. You have no anxiety. Because remember, anxiety is projecting yourself in the future and resenting or dreading something that might happen in the future. So as long as you're connected to the now, you're not feeling that anxiety. And some might say, yes, but I'm delusional and this thing might happen. Then when it happens, it's going to be a problem. Well, it hasn't happened. Now, if you stay connected to the now and you train yourself to connect to the now, it's like a muscle. You train yourself to develop the muscle of the presence. I'm present. What are you feeling now? If I'm really present, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling full. I'm feeling whole. I'm feeling in an allowing way. I'm feeling like I'm expanding rather than contracting. I feel relaxed rather than tense. If I'm really present, I can't be tense because I'm tense when I'm looking at something that I don't want. I'm stressed when I'm looking at unwanted. And when I'm looking at unwanted, I'm actually not present. You cannot be both at the same time. When I'm present to the now, I'm feeling good by definition. So the longer I spend in the present moment, the more I train myself to come back to the present moment easier. And the easier for me it is to come back to the present moment, the less I will be compelled to constantly project on some unwanted future. And so I'm going to start feeling more and more and more relief from anxiety, from this chronic anxiety that I had developed for whatever reason. And once again, you don't want to know right now, this is not the topic of this video. Train yourself to be present. Do meditation, connect to your breathing, connect to your body, connect to the space, connect to the flame of a candle. Tip number 5, practice embracing the unknown. In other words, instead of needing to control what you believe might or might not happen, instead of needing to know 100% that anything you don't want will not happen, which is, by the way, impossible, because life is about allowing it to unfold and moving with it gracefully. Practice embracing the idea that things will unfold in a way that you don't know and accept it. So this requires deliberately letting go of contraction, deliberately letting go of tension, deliberately letting go of needing things to be my way, needing. Need never helps. Instead of needing to be sure 200% that everything I don't want is eradicated, will never happen, you will always find situations where unwanted might arise. Practice allowing the universe to unfold any way it wants. Practice while you go, for example, into a meditative state, saying, I welcome the unknown. I welcome the unfolding of anything that needs to unfold. And at first it might sound a little bit difficult because I don't want things to unfold any way I don't want. When you do that, you align with the universe. You align with the fact that you are in a physical body, allowing a lot of outside things to happen outside your absolute control. And the more you allow it, what happens? The better you feel. I'm allowing things to unfold. I don't know what will unfold. I'm not focusing on any topic that I really, would dislike to see happening. I'm just allowing things to unfold. I'm allowing the universe to do what it needs to do. I'm allowing myself to not know in advance what happens. It's a deliberate switching your way of thinking. I need to control. I need to control. I need to control. I can't control. You can't. You can't. It's beyond the laws of the universe. The universe says, just allow. Trust. If you allow, you're trusting. You're starting to trust. I trust that things will unfold well, but I allow it. I allow it. I step back, and instead of holding on to things the way I really want them to happen or the way I really don't want them to happen, so I'm trying to control, but you realize you can't control, send the message to the universe that you're allowing things to unfold freely. And you will feel relief. When you feel relief, anxiety diminishes. Tip number 6, practice paying attention to everything that's going well in your life and give it time, give it energy, feel it. And as you give it attention and notice it, you will start appreciating it. As you appreciate it more and more and more, you will notice that there's a lot in your life that's already going well. And what happens is that your vibration, your emotions, your frequency, your state of being will raise by you putting your attention on things that are already going well. And pay attention to what's going well, especially if it's not related to what gives you anxiety. Practice feeling appreciation to what's already going well that you have no tendency to feel anxiety about. Make it easy, in other words. Look at easy things that are going well, even if they seem or feel insignificant. As you give it attention, you will start feeling better more and more and more and more often. And as you practice feeling better, anxiety doesn't find its place within the consciousness of a person that's been practicing feeling good, that's been practicing noticing things that feel good. It's really worth spending some time on it. And the good news is when you start looking at those things that are going well, it's actually pleasant. You're not making an effort. The effort would be, I'm wasting my time, but you're not. Once you understand that you're actually not wasting your time, but you're giving time of attention to anything that feels good just because you have it and because you're noticing it, will allow you to feel good and be in a state of allowing more and more and more often. And as you give less time to anxiety, less time to the things that you're dreading, less time to what you're hoping will never happen, this one will start disappearing, pruning away from your consciousness. Practice feeling good by looking at what is already going well. And tip number 7, once you've practiced the previous tips and especially connecting to the now, looking at what's going well, allowing things to unfold, once you're practiced in doing this, now get back to the topic of your anxiety and look at it through a different lens. As you're feeling good, when you look at something that used to make you worried and anxious and not wanting it to happen, you will start perceiving it through a different light. You will start looking at it and feeling, I wonder why I was so worried about that. It's not as bad as I thought. It's not as bad as I felt. But do that from a place of feeling already good. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling peaceful, I'm feeling allowing, I'm feeling appreciative of what I have. Now I look at the topic that usually has been making me feel anxious and uncomfortable, and I'll look at it and I'll feel, oh my God, it's not that bad after all. And as you do that over and over and over again, you will notice that you will start perceiving it in a brighter light and feeling less and less anxiety. And it's all a question of practice. It's not going to happen from one day to the other. But if you actually care about feeling less and less anxiety in your life, do these few steps and you will notice that your life will start changing and your perception of life will start changing. And as you're feeling less stress and less anxiety, a lot of things in your life will start healing. Your health will start improving. Circumstances in your life will start being more friendly. And maybe you'll think it's a coincidence, but it's not, because everything that happens in your life is in direct correlation to your habitual way of feeling. Feeling is the secret. Feeling is the secret. This is a book by Neville Goddard that is beautiful. It's a very short book, but it's absolute truth. Once you master and you change your way of feeling, more often than not, your life changes. And so practice that and let me know in the comments how things evolve. Thank you for listening to this video. Now, before you go, I want to let you know that I released a course called Break Free from Virus Anxiety that is destined to people who are feeling overly anxious about the possibility of catching a virus. And anxiety connected to something that you can't control is very, very harsh, because basically there's no solution. I need to control the uncontrollable. I need to control the fact that I will never get this virus. You can't do that. You can't want that. You can't demand that. It will not happen. So the work is to release anxiety, release tension, and start living a normal life in the current circumstances, in the current conditions, and to start perceiving life as not as threatening as I thought. Living with constant fear and anxiety is horrible, actually. I've had that before. I've experienced that in my past. I was very, very, very anxious. I was born and raised in a very anxious family. And I started freeing myself by applying all of those principles and exercises that I'm sharing here. So if you are somebody who's feeling overly anxious about catching a virus, if you know somebody who is, by all means, share that course and you'll be doing that person a great favor, because the whole purpose is to change the life experience of anybody who's suffering because of that. So the link is down below. Check it out. And if that is your case, or if you know anybody whose case that is, by all means, give it to them and things will change. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll see you in the next video.